Oh, Cabernet! Oh, I know what we've been waiting for. So Cabernet is the most widely planted grape in the world. So certified in 1996 to be a surprise crossbreed from Cab Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. Oops, it just happened. Oops, nature made the most popular grape. So in Bordeaux, it is often blended with Cab Franc and Merlot. In Northern Rhone, it's blended with Syrah. So it became a point of controversy in the 1970s for Italy when producers, feeling trapped under the DOC rules requiring that they use at least 70% Sangiovese and 10% local white grapes in Chianti to be called a Chianti. They started blending in Cabernet, searching for more expressive and interesting wines, which, since you legally can't call it Chianti anymore, came to be known as Super Tuscans. Yeah, we know them as such.
Yes.
So it is rarely used in Germany. Most viable in climates in Mosel, as the land would be situated is already occupied by Riesling. Lags behind in Argentina is most popular as their local grape, their national grape, the Malbec, the bad wine Mal. So in 2006, the Federation of American Societies of Experimental Biology published a paper about the health benefits of resveratrol. Red wine is good for your heart. Why don't you drink more of it? What are you doing? So a chemical in all red wines that showed cardiovascular benefits as well as potential in easing the effects of Alzheimer's. If you're losing your mind and your heart, you might as well have some wine. Dry Cabernet has some of the highest levels, but if you're really concerned, I would look up the Tannat. Tannat grapes, technically, currently, have the highest levels of resveratrol. You mostly see those out of Uruguay. They're more popular there. We just got some out of south of France. Haven't had a chance to try yet. Very excited for. But Tannats are really hearty, resveratrol-rich, great red wine.
What is it?
Tannat.
Ah.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
You're welcome. Welcome to class.
We're halfway out.
You're getting there. So California cabs are king.
Yes, they are.
So the first growing areas of Cabernet Sauvignon in California were Sonoma and Napa. Augusta and Harsensee's Buena Vista Winery in Sonoma may have included Cabernet as early as 1857. Start to pick up that as a trend. That's the time that all this stuff really starts to happen. Everyone's coming in, everyone's planting, everyone's looking for gold, everyone is just going. So Cabernet Sauvignon and blends in which this variety is predominant are the prized wines of California. Select California applicants provide ideal growing conditions for cabs. Oh hey, we made it to Napa. So, coming around, Courtney Benham, which I'm excited for you guys to try. So it is indeed a Napa Valley Cabernet. And take a look, see if you can find those blackberries, those raspberries, those hints of chocolate and currant.
We like their Pinot Noir Rosé. Oh.
What do you think of that one, guys? Ooh! Ooh! That was a reaction. I don't know if it's because we've had a few glasses so far, if you guys really enjoy it. Now, I hadn't noticed this earlier, but this is actually a really cool thing. This particular bottle, which is a 2020 California, which you'll remember was a tumultuous year, to put it lightly, is 54% Napa County and 46% Sonoma County. So it's a little bit of the best that comes out of California. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So this is the Courtney Benham. So this is made at the Martin Ray Vineyard. So Martin Ray was a guy. He was a pioneer in California winemaking in 1943 to 1972 in the Santa Cruz and developed the historic property Mount Eden. So he was one of the guys that started putting on his label the actual varietal that he had used. It wasn't just where it was what it was. So Martin Ray was a big deal who helped change and revolutionize what we understand as wine. So 20 years after his passing, Courtney found 1,500 cases of his wine in a warehouse. Because Courtney started out as a buyer and was going around and checking, and he found a warehouse that just happened to have 1,500 cases of this legendary wine sitting in the back. And he talked to the guy, talked about the history of Martin Ray, and talked about the price, and snatched it up and bought the rights to the Martin Ray name. He started getting more land. He started making it happen, and he revitalized Martin Ray as a brand. So since 1990, he and his team, which were lovely folks, have been voted to raise the ideology of making wines of place. So they're very into, this wine comes from this place, and I want you to taste that it comes from this place. So there are a lot of winemakers that are chasing certain flavors and will utilize the flavors of these places, but they want to make this flavor of this place. I want you to taste the dirt and the soil and the sun out of this place, which is very cool. And talking to their winemakers here, Leslie and Ramey, they had a philosophy. They wanted to change as little about the wine as possible. They took on more of kind of the French style of, they're not winemakers, they're grape tenders. They're taking care of everything and letting it be what it is at the time, as much as possible. Which was interesting because it was in such stark contrast to what Joe Wagner had to say about everything, which was, anyone that says that is full of crap. You're going to change everything you want to change because you want to get the flavors you want to get. But I tend to agree with them a little bit more. They were being a little bit more careful with everything they were doing. And what was fun is they really had the feeling of, I'm just making art all day. I just get to make what I want to make with these places, which was very cool. So Courtney Benham, Courtney really loves riding bikes. It's his thing. He'll start his day with it. He'll go everywhere he can with it. And at a certain point, not that long ago, he had a really, really bad bike accident. And they weren't sure if he was going to make it at all. And so after he finally recovered, he took stock of his life and everything he had going on, and he changed what was on his label, which was this stylistic bull, which didn't really mean anything. It just was kind of a cool image, and these wines are strong and flavorful. And he changed it to himself, almost about to die, and put some meaning and feeling into it to make it matter. So now the wines are all about that. Is if you're gonna do something, make it something worth doing. And he still rides his bike. He had a crash like a week or two before we got there. It wasn't as bad. But yeah, the other winemakers and assistants were talking about trying to take away his bikes. And he was like, I'll find them. I'll get another one.
Is he young, old?
He looks like that.
Okay.
So, older. He's an older gentleman. Yes.
What's the difference between that burgundy label and the white one? I've only had the white one, which we're having tonight.
This is one of their reserves. So that's their reserve. So they make Angeline, which is kind of their entry-level stuff, very good stuff. And they make their Courtney Benham, they're kind of, they'll call it mid-grade stuff. I think it's still very high-quality stuff. And as early back, so when I started, Courtney Benham was on vintage 2016. This wine, that vintage, was the first bottle of wine I bought when I started working here, based on the recommendation of somebody who worked here who had years and years of experience. Some of you will remember Wendell. And so I bought it. I didn't know anything about wine. I took it home, I didn't really like it all that much. I came back to work and I was like, I don't know, guys. It's like it's really dry and kind of there's like this earthy weirdness to it, and it mentions that it tastes like pencil shavings. Like what? And the reaction was like, I know, isn't it great? So a little conflicted. But you know, I came back to it with more of that open mind and educated my palate on it, and it became this. I started to recognize the things in it that were good, that were worth enjoying, that anyone could find pleasure in. And one of the things that they told me too was that particular vintage, they were buying up grapes because once again they know most of the makers around the area from Duckhorn, because Duckhorn, for their $50, $60 bottles of wine, they couldn't afford some of the grapes that they were going to be using in them, and started turning away some of the growers at the gates. Can't take that, sorry. And so Courtney went and bought them and started putting them in his $20 bottle, and it was pretty great. And so that is a thing about wine. You know, I mean, going to Alison Crowe again is, you know, she knows where the good grapes are, and she'll give some of them to some of the growers or some of the winemakers and keep some of the better stuff for herself. And Courtney happened to deal with the people who were growing it outright and got the best stuff for it. And it worked out. So they make their Courtney Benham for him, and then they make their Martin Ray, which is their highest quality stuff they produce, owing to that classic name and that heritage. If you get around to trying the synthesis, which is one of the more expensive ones, I highly recommend it. It is very deep, rich, and flavorful, and has all these different layers and characters to it.
Is it a blend?
It is. It is a blend. The synthesis.
What's the Martin Ray?
Synthesis.
Most of them are caps. Yeah, most Martin Rays are caps. This was the area we got to see. Their vines and the Martin Ray Tower there. Ooh, hold on a second. Wait a second. We're getting to our penultimate wine.